Boom! And we're live. Another episode of Elite Encounter. Today we're here with Ryan. How's it going, man?
It's been fantastic. Felt a lot of holidays between us and when we first wanted to do this. I think, man, you and me, busy.
We are busy people. What can I say? We're busy.
We are.
Um,
It's an honor to be on the Elite Encounters podcast here. I would like to be drilled as many questions in as we can.
all right. Well, get ready because I'm about to ask you a bunch of questions. But also, if you want to ask me questions, feel free. We can have like a back and forth type of thing. It's not meant to be like an interview
Right.
type of thing. We can ask questions back and forth and all that kind of stuff. But let's go ahead and start by talking about ourselves a little bit. What can you tell me about yourself?
Hi, I'm Ryan. Some people know me as Nyterra, as my IGN. I've been in the Unite community since not even day one, day negative something, right? When it first announced, we were looking at even the China leaks on that weird pirate ship map thing all the way till now. I think I would say I'm an OG Pokemon Unite player and even community caster, moving up from there to regionals and whatnot. So, I've had my hands around the Unite scene here and there, but that's a lot about me. Give me something about you so that I know what we're working with.
Well, yeah, same actually. I've been with the Unite train since day one, since before day one, all that good stuff. When I heard that it was gonna start being announced, I saw the leaks and everything. I was like, ooh, I'm ready. Because I played a lot of MOBA games before that. I played League of Legends, Dota 2, Heroes of the Storm, Smite, all that good stuff. And so coming into Unite, I feel like I already had a very good head start with this type of gameplay. But Unite is a little different, and I really enjoyed the changes that it brought to the MOBA scene. And I'm currently located in Romania in Europe, so I usually play with a lot of EU players. Which, by the way, which region are you in? Where are you located?
I'm in Southeast Asia, so technically, if I'm not wrong, it should be about 5 p.m. for you? I think
3 p.m.
I'm getting there. The EU blood is slowly coming to me. Too many casting of them.
Okay. Where specifically are you more located?
Singapore. I'm so sorry.
Singapore.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it's like 9:10 a.m. for 9:10 p.m. Sorry. Yes.
Okay. Well, it's not that late. This is usually when everyone is online trying to do in-houses and stuff like that, right?
Right.
Are you participating in in-houses?
No, I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm too far from everyone. I just lag around the screen, and then when we win, I'll say I was carried. I was the Zapdos. I was the Rayquaza. All good. Thank you.
Well, hold on.
It is a joy to see in-house, right?
In the Asia scene, are there a lot of people playing in-houses, or is it just Japan?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. Asia is one of the quietest regions, specifically my side of Asia. So let's not talk about of course, Japan. We're not talking about India, which in and of itself is now its own region as well, right? We're very quiet. The last time we had in-houses was many years back. We're talking like 2.5 years back almost, and it was run by another caster I know who's also kind of left the scene a little. So a lot of things have changed in these times.
Yeah, Unite, since day one to now, a lot has changed, for better and for worse.
A lot. Oh, you want to talk about the worst, though? A lot of news now.
Jeez, well, I feel like that's an endless discussion. But I want to ask you more about how did you get into casting? Because you said you were playing Pokemon Unite. Why didn't you just become a competitor, join a team, compete on tournaments?
I did. There's a whole lore behind that. When I first started, right? I would say, best time of my Twitch career as a streamer. I'm a streamer too, so I had like 20 viewers. Not a lot to some people, but that's
a lot to me. I also stream.
That's 19 more than I would have normally. Yeah. So when I was streaming, I connected a lot of the Australian community because of time zones, and I met a team there, or rather, we started from a team from this streamer with me, and then we built it up together, and I competed. And back then, it was really the Wild Wild West. I was competing with American players because tournaments were like everyone can join. So at some point, I fought the OG Premier team in Unite, which I don't know if you remember. They were called TTV.
Yeah.
Changed to Gaming Gladiators. Yeah, those were OG days, and I can say for certain, it might be wrong now, but I once beat Lutano in a Lucario Ditto in top lane.
Hey.
No one will remember that, but it's okay.
Yeah, I realized actually, I've been playing a lot of ladder, and sometimes I get matched.
Ladder, really?
Well, yeah. Now not as much as I used to because I've been trying to play more in-houses and scrims and that sort of stuff. But sometimes I would get some of these top players in my matches, like especially European players like Bruv, Gatlu, Toon.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes it was fun because we'd be on the same team. Sometimes it was not fun because what I would do is I would run some wonky builds and then they would.
And then you meet them.
Well, and then I beat
don't
them.
mind me asking, what rank are you? Or sorry, what's your point count now?
So right now I'm sitting at legend 1200 or something like that.
That's high. 1200 is the base actually.
No. 1000 is what you need to get into legend.
Oh, is it the base? See, I haven't played United that long.
What the heck?
I remember when it was like 1200 or 1400. I don't know, man.
No, that's what it was to get into master rank, and then they changed the rank system completely. So now, once you get into master rank, your points are at 0, and then you have to get up to 1000 to go into legend rank.
What a time! Well, when was this?
Well, this was...
No, don't answer that. I don't want to be. I'm not that old. I'm not that old, guys.
It wasn't that long ago. It was, a few months ago.
It's a few months ago. That's a few too many months I've not been playing.
What happened, man? Why did you take a break from Unite?
The easiest answer it would be school. Right, I kind of went back to school about 2 years ago. That's also when I stopped streaming as much, which means I stopped playing Unite as much. And to be fair, I just couldn't keep up with like all the mods. I think the last mod that I tried to get was Zacian, and then I stopped. Yeah, so the only other mod that was free that I got was Miraidon. I think I don't even remember if I got Miraidon or I had to use whatever AOS gems I had left over just to finish the map quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was such a long time ago. And the only time I ever played after that were on my birthday. Because on my birthday, they released twice, I think. They released the mod that I actually enjoyed. The first one being Scizor. You can figure out when that date is. And the second one being Mega Lucario, which you also can figure out what that date is.
Well, I don't remember when they were released, but I could look it up.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up if you want.
No, just tell me. I don't feel like it.
In my time zone, it'd be the 28th of September.
Okay.
So I think it was 27 for NA. So yeah, I don't recall exactly, but I remember on that specific date, I was so happy. I was like, you guys released a mod on my birthday and it was Scizor. Okay, fine. Metal type. Sorry, steel type. See, I'm not hip with the kids now. So far lost. But then they released Mega Lucario, and when I was in one of the EU tournaments casting, they were like, yo, did you see Mega Lucario's release on this day? Yeah, it's my birthday.
They know something, man. They know something about you, and they want to give you a nice present. So what are you studying now that you went back to school? Are you in university or?
No, I'm not smart for that. I'm doing events management, so I like to curate events and pop them out. One of my own ventures is making artists markets. So a lot of them are Pokemon artists that make their own merch. I have a few back there. If we have time, we'll take a break. I could bring some over. But there's a lot of things I want to do in events, and one of them was run tournaments a long time ago. So hopefully with this path, at some point I'd love to start running Pokemon Unite site events at my own event or something along the sort.
And these are online events, right?
Online, on-site events, I will do both. Give you a chance. If it's online, I know a bunch of people who can do it. I don't really need to be in this space again. I've got them.
All right, all right.
But on-site, Asia players, I want to bring them back.
Okay. And that's probably connected to your merch little side project because then you can sell more merch, right?
I wouldn't say I can sell more merch, but all I'm really doing is giving a space to artists who want to start their own business and advance their drawing to a level they can earn from. So I just like to see people gather together and have fun. That is really my prerogative.
Interesting. I think you could have you might have a lot to say on this next question that I have. But what do you how do you feel about artificial intelligence, especially in this art scene?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, but we're talking about artsy. We're talking about generating artworks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of art that you're helping promote, right?
All right. So this is going to either lose my reputation or we're gonna have a fun conversation. I think AI art is. I think AI art is definitely wrong. Right? There's no but to that. What I think AI should be is a tool to help artists if they're workflow or conceptualizing. So let's say I wanted to make an art piece of I don't know, maybe I'll pop up my background so you can see. So my background, I have a duck, a platypus, a Psyduck, and behind here my hero, Chris Heroes. A lot of questions. I know, everyone. But why I bring this up is like, how can I conceptualize something without really thinking about it? So when I thought of this, I actually had to think about like, how do I want to portray Chris, right? And we were talking about Team Peps, EU team, and so we're talking Pepsi Man, right? So okay, Chris as Pepsi Man, and in that particular stream that day, it was going to be just this picture of Chris as Pepsi Man, but for some reason he was talking about platypuses and Psyduck. So yeah, we just ran along of that and we made it. And one thing I think AI can help is obviously, telling you like, okay, these are your core criteria of what you want artwork to be. Did you stretch this off? Did you scratch this off? And or making conceptualizing art, right? Like figuring out how composition should be, what they think is nice, and then you kind of just take bits and pieces to figure out, yeah. But taking art directly, I feel is absolutely wrong. Yeah. Right. I don't want them to steal this piece of art. Okay. It's my merch. It's one of a kind.
Well, it's not really that simple sometimes because when it comes to AI art, I've been browsing a lot of online forums with this kind of stuff, and what's happening now is very interesting. So what some artists are doing, I remember seeing a picture specifically that someone made of like Pokemon, like some trainers and something like that.
Right.
And they posted in the subreddit on Reddit like called "Is this AI?" It's literally a subreddit where people post pictures.
Ooh, that's
and
fun.
They ask, "Is this AI?" So someone posted that picture, and it's very interesting. People like notice like the smallest details, but essentially what they said was that it looks like it was generated by AI, but the artist made a lot of fixes to make
touch-ups.
Touch-ups to make sure it doesn't look like AI. I mean, how do you feel about that way of using AI?
Then it comes down to what fundamentally is the reason why people shut on AI, right? Which is AI takes samples and merges it with more samples to make a new piece of artwork. Whether you tune it or not, it used to be from a different artwork piece together, and that's the fundamental issue. And so even if you did touch up with AI, or rather you AI the image and then you touch it up, I feel like that's so wrong because it was never your work to begin with.
Yeah.
Now, separate from inspiration, right? Because I know there are people who trace art, as practice. I know there are people who reuse art, the composition, the structure, and they're like, okay, I want my character in this pose. So I'm going to kind of sketch out the pose based on this. Not trace over, but like, eyeball it. That's still kind of in the realm of, if you want to say how it is, if it's an AI glazer, they'll say, yeah, it's the same thing. We're doing the same thing. And I'm telling you, it's not, right? One requires skill with a pen. The other one requires me a type of prompt to say, copy it.
Yeah. It's not really. I think it's a tricky situation. I mean, there's going to be some gray areas here. There's going to be some people that are going to benefit from this, and other people that are not going to benefit. Anyway, it's a tricky discussion when it comes to AI, and I think
It's
when
a
it,
fun discussion.
it's definitely fun. I agree. But some people get upset when you talk about this kind of stuff.
Oh no, is this going to be the end of Elite Encounters? All right, it's great having you on.
Yeah. You know, like, so I used I used AI actually to clone my voice because I made an online course unrelated to Pokemon Unite, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, and to kind of help with making the course, each video had like a voiceover of my voice.
Okay.
And instead of me recording each voiceover for every single video, I cloned my voice and let the AI do the voiceover. So in that way, it always sounded good. I didn't have to spend lots of time recording it. It was very consistent,
Okay.
and it sounded like me like 95% of the way there. How do you feel about
Alright.
that use case of AI?
Well, you gotta share with me the 5% that you found out. I think that's interesting. But again, I go back to the fundamental problem of AI, which I feel is again, you are taking other people's work. In this case, you're using your own piece, right? Now, unless you are selling it off as an art piece, right, where you are commissioning off the fact that that is the product, I think that that's still in a morally gray area because you're selling a course that I presume you at least made the course, right? That wasn't AI,
Yeah, so the
right?
content
But
itself, like what the AI is saying or what I would have said was all written by me.
right. So you see, that's the thing, right? You're just trying to find a simpler solution to what you're doing, which I don't think is entirely wrong because I mean, we started off with pencils that we need to sharpen, and now we're going to pens that we don't have to replace. We use correction tape, we use liquid, mistake removers. Now we're doing typing. Now it's just a backspace. I think that's the simplifying of the portion. I don't think that's an issue with you using AI to clone your voice. It's your voice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's an issue if you had told me use AI to make your course. Yeah, that
No.
would have been the problem. That's what you're selling.
I did use it to help me brainstorm, but
Yeah, that's what I think is fine.
yeah, but I didn't let it make the content for the course because when I did, I wanted to see what it would make. It was garbage. It was.
You gotta share me the script though. I'll learn from it. I'll tell everyone this is how AI works. It's terrible.
Yeah, I would have to look for it, but yeah, I can share it with you. I mean, the 5% that I did notice where it was making mistakes, I edited that out. I made corrections. I fixed it so it doesn't sound bad, and it was making weird mistakes, like randomly stuttering for certain words, pronouncing certain words really really weird. Like I don't know, but it's crazy because it's so similar. Even my wife didn't notice it was not me speaking in some of these, and you would think that my wife would know of all people.
That's the power of AI. It's just like you say, it's just that good, and I feel it's inevitability. That's the sad part.
Yeah, I know, right? It is inevitable. It's anyway. It's a it's it's a future we kind of have to think about because eventually we're gonna have to incorporate it or do something that does not include it or
coexist
in some way or some shape or form. I don't know. It's tricky.
We're getting there. We'll figure it out. It's one step at a time.
Yeah, and I think it could lead to a lot of interesting use cases in Pokemon Unite as well because I would like to now you can use AI to vibe code some apps, and I would like to make a website or something that can help train people for draft practice. It can give you feedback on your draft selections, the order at which you draft, the Pokemon you chose, the moves that you choose for that match, because it will know all the information about all the Pokemon, the whole roster, their weaknesses, their counters, their strong picks, etc., etc. Okay. And right now, there's not many.
But would you need AI? Would you need AI for that?
I'm sure it could be done without AI. It would just be really difficult because you'd have to essentially manually input all this data and information into a database and have I don't know, like an automated system that references all of it. But making it would be where AI can help because you can build all of that super fast, and it can act like a coach essentially. I think that would be a really interesting use case. It's just that I don't trust AI yet. to help me with that kind of stuff. It would like I tried to use AI to make a resource for me, and it was giving me bogus information, like which Pokemon were late game carries or which Pokemon were early scalers. And I was just like, what are you talking about? What some of this stuff doesn't make sense.
So which one hits level 16 to win the game?
Yeah.
You know, which one needs to be 15 minutes long so that you can win? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me know. But I do agree. I am a little biased when it comes to specific type of use cases for AI. One thing is education. In the right hands and the right AI model, you know, because I've seen very bad courses. I think you've seen some of them as well. You've made some that it can teach you, but it can't be that far. I've seen things like there was a website I recently used. I play a lot of League of Legends. I'm so sorry, but it is like a how could I, right? It's a macro trainer, so they teach you like, oh, this is the guy who's playing the game. It's a stream basically, and they'll pause it there and they'll tell you these are 3 options. What do you think this guy's gonna do? What do you think is the best option? And this is how it plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I think something like that could be a cool use case, and I would love to see it coming from you if ever you make it.
Well, I mean, time is kind of tight on my end these days, so making something like that, it's not really in the priority list. It's not very high in the priority list at the moment.
Right, we're opening a Patreon for this, I believe. It is time. It is your time.
We could.
Go fund me.
I did do something similar in the past. I made a Kickstarter for this online course actually where I used AI, which it was actually funded, and I kind of dropped the ball. I didn't meet the deadline, but eventually I made it. Only 1.5 years later than what I said it would be.
You're 1.5 years better than most people who just drop the ball and never pick it up. So you know what? That is a pat on the back for you.
Thank you. But yeah, I think this could help with Pokemon Unite, and also it would be interesting to see if I can use an AI model to replicate my playstyle with certain Pokemon, so I can play against it and identify the gaps in my playstyle.
Like a ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You know, because
Pokemon
I finally have teammates.
Yeah, but what is it? Super Smash Bros. Kind of did something like this with the amiibos.
Amiibo.
Yeah, because you would train the amiibos, and it would learn, and it would be able to counterplay you once you play against it long enough. So I think something like that could definitely help improve your gameplay, and essentially help you improve as a player.
I guess issue here is replacing in-houses, which I wouldn't say it's a bad thing either, because one thing is NAEU times, they don't line up sometimes. Netcode is another thing. Being able to take data from these players, put it as a ghost for you to train against, I think would be insane of an idea. Will it be controversial? Yes, because you'd still need the player's consent. But I think it is an interesting idea that someone should talk about.
Do we need their consent? Because their gameplay is essentially public information, isn't it?
Oh, that is true. That is true. I think out of courtesy, you'd still ask.
I guess.
I think that's the bare minimum you do, and that's what I would do if I were implementing AI to anything, right? Like,
yeah,
if you think you don't want this, don't touch it.
Yeah, and I know some players would not want it because they don't want people to practice against their playstyle and be able to counterplay them in tournaments and stuff like that.
I would. Play against my ghost. I mean, if you guys play like really bad in Worlds and I win, like that's my $1 million. Woo!
Yeah. And I think it, like you said, it's inevitable, and I think something like that will probably happen in one shape, way, or form by someone in some way. Because I don't know, like 5-6 years ago, they made an AI model in Dota, but it was very limited, and it was only for one character. But essentially, it was able to outperform anyone else on that same character in that specific lane, and like it was able to do some crazy macro and micro decisions that.
No shot. Okay.
Yes.
I've never heard of it.
It was crazy. Yeah. I forget who did it exactly, but yeah, they made like an AI model for that, and it was one of the first instances of where they used AI to help train for that role. But the problem there is that AI doesn't work together as a team well enough yet,
right?
And that's something that Pokemon Unite and any competitive team-based game has, where you have to work together as a team, you have to communicate, you have to do things together and all that kind of stuff.
I think that's debatable for some games, because at least for Pokemon Unite, I think the end game for Unite is the problem here, where if you just rip the objective, technically, if you do it fast enough, you don't need a team, right? And that is the biggest outplay to an enemy, right? If their 5 is not on the objective, they don't get to rip it, and you get to rip it, technically you win the game.
Yeah.
So maybe might actually be effective. Will we see it in Unite's lifespan? It's getting a lot shorter, I'll tell you that much. I don't know if we will, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah, well, speaking of the lifespan of Unite, the prognosis is shortening, but I like to have hope. Like I've committed to only playing this game because I don't have a lot of free time these days. So I committed to only playing this game. So
10 minutes.
Well, yesterday, for example, I literally had only 10 minutes. I played one match, and then I had stuff to do. Stuff came up, and anyway.
Well,
so if
to be fair, that is true.
Yeah. So if I want to get good at a game, I've gone through the experimentation phase where I've played other games, similar games, different games, and I now reached a point where, okay, this is the only game I want to play so that I can get stupid good at this one game and compete at the top level, join a team, maybe go to a tournament, all that kind of stuff.
I can see the dream.
Yeah, well, that's my strategy.
I used to be that.
But then you went back to
I have players that want that. I agree. Yeah, then I went back to it. Now, I didn't want to be a competitive player, and it's always been like, I guess to share a bit more about myself, I never thought I could study, because there's a lot of here, but I was a lot of here, yapping. So I started to think, I want to be a caster, and so I started talking more, learning more. People ask me, how did you do it so well? You're like making jokes on the fly, you're like referencing move skills, names, nobody cares about this. And I just tell them, no, it's just a spreadsheet. I say, but that's a textbook. It's the same thing. I was like, no, it's not.
Yeah, actually, tell me more about your casting journey. How did you end up starting as a caster, and what is it like, or what has it been over the course of time?
I was blessed to cast a simpler game back then. Fighting games I don't think are that hard to cast, in a sense that, I see a guy punching you, that's the bare minimum you need to understand, right? My HP goes 0, I lose, that's the game. I played a Pokemon fighting game, Pokemon tournament, and I casted that, and then as we went along, I started to learn more and more. The reason I even started casting was because back then we were a community who wanted to expand further. We were like, all right, we're going to show the community of this game that, we have a presence here in Singapore. We started that. Then I asked everyone, do any of you know how to stream? No one answered. And so I said, all right, no worries, I'll do it. That was our first community event where we had a stream. The next time we did it, we were like, okay, streams were boring. No one wants to watch this because it was dry. There was nothing to listen to except for hoo ha he. So like, all right, we all need casting. All agree? Yeah. All shake hands. And then when we asked the question again, does anyone know how to cast? No one raised their hands. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll start it off. And that's how the journey started, right? So it's a lot of trial and error. Slow and steady, we picked it up. I learned the game. And then as I go on, it was like Pokemon Unite was next, followed by a bunch of different Nintendo titles. And eventually, here I am, exiting casting because I don't want to think about it. I want to do more hosting. That's more fun, I think.
Interesting. So what is it about hosting that brings you, that makes it more fun rather than the other stuff?
I go back to wanting to do events, right? Which is to see a gathering of people have fun. And to me, I think talking to people is like a joy, right? That's why I enjoy talking to you. This could be a 3-hour thing. We will never know. No one needs to know.
We'll see. Just don't look at the timestamp.
Yeah, so I really feel like at the end of the day, it's a lot of, I get to learn who people are. I get to tap into what makes them shine so bright and bring it up on stage, right? So like when you talk about the AI part of things, right? That was a really fun portion where I get to tell people like, this is my stance on it. It might not be the best stance. It will be a little controversial at times. And I'm happy to hear what people say. I'm happy to understand their viewpoints and also leverage off that. Like, hey, you think this is not good, why? So on and so forth. Then we can extend a conversation. And hosting is a lot about playing into people's strengths. And I think that that's one thing I like to do a lot, especially in casting. I've been a lot laid back. Uh, at least from what I understand, I don't speak as much when I'm with some newer casters because I'm like, you can do what you want and I will back you up, you know? Full send it. I got you. And I think that's the fun about casting, but there's so much technical things that you need to learn that I feel like I don't really want to go this deep anymore. I think talking to people is more fun. Let's do hosting where we can make like really bad jokes. You know, I don't want to see like the Pokemon Unite scoreline like 6-7, 6-9. Go, oh guys, the scoreline 6-7 and 6-9. Haha. No, like no one's gonna appreciate the jokes in those moments. And be like, no, tell me about the game.
Yeah. You know, I feel like I can relate because I did a lot of event management, event coordination back in college, and then after that, I I ran a few businesses where I had to organize a lot of events, and I feel exactly the same. Like I love bringing people together, and I feel like that's why I also enjoy doing the podcast because it's like a platform that I'm hoping to build up so that it brings people together, and people can recognize each other on a different level, not just by their username or how they play and the team they're on, but like a little bit of their personality and, you know, some fun banter, a little bit of yapping, all that good stuff, you know?
Right. I agree. It's a lot of painting a bigger or putting more color to someone's palette in a sense, you know? Yeah. I want to see more of certain players, you know? Sometimes I only get to talk to some of my casters only when we cast, and like, when we gel so well, it feels such a shame that we stop there. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Definitely. So which part of the casting are you usually doing? Because if I remember correctly, there's like two parts, right? There's like the color caster and the play-by-play caster.
Well, technically there is 3. There's an analyst as well, but he's a lonely person. You know, we don't talk about him. I do a lot of play-by-play because I speak very fast. And that is one of my biggest weaknesses as well as a caster, where people might not be able to understand me because I don't articulate well. And fair enough, but I can also do the color side. So the color side is more explaining what's happening afterwards. One is telling you what's happening, the other one's explaining why it happened. I can do both by virtue of I understand the game. And because I talk fast, I can do it as well, right? Because sometimes you don't get a lot of pockets of time to talk about the plays. That's where I'm like, I got this, guys. I can explain it and do it fast, right? So if I had to pick one though, I think I'm more play-by-play because I want to talk about the moment a lot more. It's always what's happening now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found that to be super interesting. I don't know if I could ever do casting because I've been listening to some matches where the casters are like throwing out the names of the abilities of the evolutions. Like I can never remember like the middle evolution of some of these Pokemon, the names of the abilities, and like when there's like a main objective fight like at Groudon or Kyogre, everything just goes crazy, and they're like saying, there goes a
big explosion.
Yeah. They're like, how do you first of all, how do you even see that? And second of all, how do you even think about the fact that that ability is happening right in that moment? And I'm just like, what the heck?
I'd love to give this example where we start simple. I think one of the most iconic Unite abilities. Now, you know, put your fish trucks down if it's not, but I think it is the ice cream truck. It's Guja's Unite, and I don't even know Guja's Unite's name, but this is how some casters start off, where they would associate things with like certain moves, right? So like, Surf has so many variations, but like we know it's Surf, right? By virtue of there's a giant wave, you ride the wave or you shoot the wave out. Then there's Ice Cream Truck, where like Guja just runs around with a rain cloud on top of it. And then like it's so interesting because when I call Ice Cream Truck sometimes, and I don't do this anymore, unfortunately, but like people do know that it's like, oh, there's a Guja in the game, right? And he's gonna be running around, he's gonna be really tanky, like he's just gonna do his own thing. And so that's the other problem. If Guja does his own thing, I don't have to talk about Guja, right? So I'll just say, yeah, he burns it for something. We don't know what it is, but look at the fight here. He could be here fighting instead, while his team is dying, you know? And that's another. You can't even say dying in Pokemon Unite by right. I'm not sure how that works now.
They get knocked out.
But, yeah. But you do remind me of someone a long time ago. I mean, like, you know, she's still around the scene. In fact, she's quite popular now. Kelosaurus. She once said on stream, before she even had her face cam on, that she didn't think she could do casting. And here she is now.
What did
technically
why did she
casting
say?
and hosting.
Why did she say that she doesn't feel like she can do that?
I don't know. And maybe again we're going into a little bit of a dangerous territory with what I see because it's towards her. But I think she felt like she was slow into speaking. But then again, she ended up as a caster who is slow in terms of like how she speaks, and that worked out for her, right? So it worked out. We
Yeah.
can't say anything about that,
Yeah, I
right?
mean,
And so
if
I
you play
do
to your
believe everyone
advantages,
can try.
you can make things work.
Exactly. And people play to her advantage so well. I mean, by virtue of because she doesn't talk fast, we have to give her time, buffer time to speak sometimes, right? At least that's my logic in terms of how we do things. So if I know a caster doesn't talk a lot, I don't ask him to do color so much. I ask him to talk about the games, what's happening, and I feed him like, yeah, oh, and do you see that? That's happening there, and then he'll jump to talk to that. I think this is safe for Kilo when she started out, where people are also like, how do we make it so that we're having equal screen time in a sense? Like, I can't be like talking 75% of the time, right? I get tired too. We need to help Kilo get to a level where she can also cover for me, and as she covers for me, I can help her, and so on and so forth. And to be fair, I'm saying this, it might be out of my ass because I've only casted with her in my hands so many times. I don't even think it's 2 hands worth, right? So that could have been how the case is, but ultimately she still made it up. That's the important thing. And I think anyone who wants to try anything, not just in esports, should take a leap. There should be people who will help you, and if there isn't, maybe reevaluate the industry you're in.
Yeah, I think this comes down to like the intrinsic reason for why you do what you do, because this is something I've asked other people on my podcast. But like, what are some of the intrinsic reasons why you play Unite, why you cast Unite? Like, are you doing it because you're doing it for the journey, for the destination? Do you get some sort of internal satisfaction out of it? I think if you analyze yourself and understand these kind of things, you're going to come to terms with the reality of like what it is or which parts it is that are intrinsically desirable for you, and to lean into it, because this is something I noticed with myself. Like, I like the competitive part. I like to exercise my brain in that way, I guess. I like to keep my brain
It's a
sharp.
puzzle.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's not just a puzzle, it's a puzzle that's very time sensitive. You have to have fast reaction speeds, you have to make decisions under pressure. And I remember when I was in college, I took a break from video games completely. Like, I just quit League of Legends cold turkey because I was like failing my classes. So I said, okay,
you made a great choice.
yeah, I did because the semester after that, I got good grades. I kept my scholarship. Life was good. But I did notice after some time that my reaction speed suffered, like, significantly. It was noticeable, very, very noticeable. And then I was like, okay, well, what can I do to maintain my reaction speed? Because I like having a fast reaction speed. And it's actually hard to find things where you can train your reaction speed
fast,
consistently.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, I agree.
Like, from what I saw, the main things that you could do to maintain a fast reaction speed is to do things that require fast reaction speed. And the main things I found were like playing sports or driving or honestly, that's pretty much all I was able to find. That was
iron
like,
sharpens iron, right?
Yeah. So then I was like, all right, well, maybe the solution for me is to find a balance, is to play games, but not like how I did before. Yeah, in moderation, to make sure that it doesn't go overboard. Which is another reason why I decided to only commit to playing Unite now, because I feel like I can do it in moderation, and because each match is only.
You can commit to League. No, you can commit to League. Don't worry about it. I won't tell.
Trust me. Like, I played League. I also played League since day one. Like, obviously, I stopped a few years ago. But I played when it when it was first released, like when it was in beta even, or something like that. And I had good times. I played with my friends back then. We would go to a LAN center. We play in these,
Those are the days.
Yeah, man. Oh my god. Actually, my first ever exposure to the MOBA genre was at a LAN center, like a cafe, where I just, I was like a little kid at this point, with my brother, and we went inside just to play some games, and people were playing Dota. And back then there was no matchmaking, there was no like online lobbies or anything like that, so you had to essentially go to a LAN center to play 5v5s. And I was like, this is amazing, this is great, you can talk with each other, you can talk shit to the enemy team, you can
That's yeah. That's so great. I don't even know that world because, like, at least in my time when LAN centers was still a thing, it was like everything has online now. It's fine, it's cheap. Pay a short amount, you can play for like 2 hours. $1 for two, get a drink, enjoy it. I think it's so fun though because like that's the essence of what LAN tournaments are, right? Like getting together with players, maybe taking a few smacks at them, and duking it out. I think that's so fun.
Yeah, man, it really was. I remember we would go to what was called a lock-in, where you would buy like a pass for all night to play all night. And it was from like,
all night?
yeah, man. So it was like 10 p.m. to like 8 a.m. or something on a Friday night. And
that's insane.
They would give you unlimited energy drinks and unlimited pizza. And you just play all night long. And it was great because
That's
at some
crazy.
point people were like delirious from not sleeping and stuff, so they would play terribly, and it was really funny.
That's so unhealthy.
We were kids.
We can say that now.
Of course,
we're not exactly kids anymore. We can't take that much energy drinks.
I know. Or can we? I don't know.
Wait, hold on. What was your favorite energy drink? Since we're on this,
Red Bull.
We're not the same. I'm sorry. We're not.
Red Bull is my go-to energy drink, but honestly, I haven't drank energy drinks in like years now, actually. But for the lock-in,
healthier than me.
I do drink lots of coffee though, so there's that. But at the lock-ins, they didn't have Red Bull, they didn't have Monster, they just had like a sponsored energy drink. That's the reason why they supplied infinite amounts. And it was
fair.
It was some knockoff energy drink. I don't remember what it was. But anyway, it was so much fun because
you didn't die.
Yeah, I know. In the games I did though, it was fun though because
Oof.
we would get bored with one game, we would all jump on a different game, and some of these games were like terrible. They were like you never just play them on your own. You never play them just online. But when you play them at a LAN center, it's so much fun. Like there was a game called Pirates, Knights, and Vikings, and you essentially choose a pirate, knight, or a Viking, and then you just fight each other.
That sounds like For Honor.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played that game. But anyway, it was like, it was so janky. Like all the animations were so janky. It was so hilarious. Some of the stuff was very unbalanced. Like you could be a pirate and you can throw a parrot or a casket of exploding powder and stuff like that. And the animations were so janky. Everything was so janky, but it was hilarious. It was so much fun because you could just like yell at each other in the same room.
That sounds so fun. I mean, again, LANs are there because you want to have fun with your friends in the moment, right? It's not about the game sometimes. Oh well, I mean, those are the days. We still technically have them, but I think it's more relegated to fighting games now, because you need the instant speed or as little of a latency as you can get. So,
yeah.
I get it, but
I think this is the appeal of events as well, because you go to these things in person, you talk to each other, you can read body language, you can feel the vibes, all that good stuff.
It's the problem I have with card games as well. I play a lot, and then whenever I'm asked like, hey, let's play an online card game, if that has a physical medium, and if I already own the game and you're asking me to play online, I'm telling you, no, we can meet up and play. You lazy shit. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, back in the day, I used to play a lot of Magic, a decent amount of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Do we still play Magic?
No, I do not. Like
the
last time I played Magic was I hosted a board game night.
Oof.
And one of my buddies brought a starter boost. No,
Commander?
A commander deck, yeah. And I was able to play. Like there were a lot of new mechanics. I was like,
fun.
What is this? What's going on? But I was able to play. It was fun. It was good times. But the whole aspect of having to pay a bunch of money to collect and stay up to date with the meta, and then stuff gets banned, and then it's no longer allowed, and it's very costly, and it's hard to honestly it's hard to stay up with the meta, because I loved going to, what's it called when you meet
Friday Night Magic?
No, well maybe, but like when you get a group of people together and everyone opens up
A pod.
packs, and then you choose one card. Draft. It's called drafting. I thought it was called something else.
That's it.
Yeah. Anyways,
I think it's draft. No.
I really liked drafting because it combines several things. One, trying to optimize for getting the best deck so that you can win, or trying to get the best cards so you can expand your collection. And there was always a compromise you had to make. And you had to also understand the game on a very good level to understand which cards were good, which ones were not, which ones were good for your deck, which ones were not. And honestly, it was really fun, but it was also one of those things where I felt like I was always outclassed by people. I remember I went to a draft one time, and there was this like dentist or doctor. He came directly in his scrubs, and he just destroyed everyone. I was like, bro.
He must be good.
Yeah, he was.
Draft is hard.
It is. But it was so much fun. I loved it. And there are a lot of board games like that nowadays where you can implement these draft mechanics, which is going into the board game realm. This is why I enjoy board games, because it forces people to meet up face to face and to play with each other and to understand different mechanics, new mechanics, to learn stuff and all that kind of stuff. Are you a board game fan?
I am kind of a board game fan. I mean, I feel that I do enjoy. Of recent times, I've played this game called Coop. It's a simple game, but the one that I remember the most, even though it's been like a few months, is Settlers of Catan.
Classic.
And that is all you'll ever hear of it, because I think we don't want to dive too deep into that one.
I'm a huge board game fan, actually. I used to have a YouTube channel where I would summarize board games in 30 seconds, and each video actually had a different voiceover from someone else that was a content creator for board games.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm a huge board game fan, and actually, when I was backpacking through Asia, because I spent a month backpacking through Asia, and actually mostly just Thailand and China. But anyway, I brought Ku with me because it was very small. It was easy to play, easy to learn.
Yes.
It was so good. I was able to connect with people just because of that game, you know?
It is a fun game. Ku is really a fun game.
Yeah. Nowadays, there's so many games out there that are so good. Man, I ask people about board games. Some of them are like, yeah, I like Monopoly. I'm like, no, throw that game in the trash.
No. That's not a game. That's just a business deal happening.
That's a piece of garbage.
What's your favorite board game?
Oh, my favorite board game. It's a very difficult question for me to answer. How about this? I'll tell you the game that I played the most, and that game is a game called Tiny Epic Kingdoms. I really like it.
I've never heard of it.
It's a good game. That
sounds so cool.
Yeah, it's not even highly rated. It's not one of the top rated games, but I love it so much because it's very portable. That's why it's called Tiny Epic Kingdoms. There's a whole series of games called Tiny Epic something. And I love it because it's really small, so I travel often. I do what might be called like a digital nomad lifestyle or slow traveling. And I would bring it with me pretty much everywhere I went. And it was very highly replayable, very strategic, very fast. It combined a lot of the elements I liked from various games in a tiny package that was very, very good. And with the expansion, it was like top tier for me. And
I'm taking a look at it.
Yeah, man, it's a good game. I mean, nowadays there's a lot of games out there that are still really good, but this is a game that I just really like so much because of like the combination of factors. How it was very portable, easy to learn, relatively fun to play. It included some bluffing aspects as well, which is obviously a big part of Coup.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can attack each other.
Nice.
You can create alliances. You have like with the expansion, you have heroes with special abilities. You have different races that have different abilities. And during the lockdown period, the COVID days, I played this game so much with my roommates. It was like our only source of entertainment, our main source of entertainment.
Oh, those were not too long time.
Yeah.
But at least, thank you so much for that. This is my wedding gift for my cousin, because he's the board game guy. I dragged him out for his board game cave. So I will be grabbing that.
Okay,
this is
nice.
Fun.
It's a good game. It has a lot of depth to it. So, but like I said, it's not very highly rated. But I just like it so much because of all these different factors. It's like portable. You can take it with you. If you go somewhere like sometimes I take like weekend trips in a place or whatever, and it's my go-to
You'll bring
game.
it along.
Yeah, it's my go-to game because nowadays board games are huge, man. They take up so much space. They're heavy. They're like,
Right.
what the heck? And I am a really big fan of board games that are very space efficient. And some games are not space efficient. They take up like a whole table when you lay them out and all that stuff. But apart from this game, I would say that my favorite, or maybe second favorite, is is a game called Clank Catacombs.
You have a lot of interesting games. I'm searching that up. But please tell me while I search it up.
Yeah, this one I think you would like even more because if you play card games, it includes like a deck building mechanic to it. It's not necessarily a mechanic you would see in Magic the Gathering, but during the game, you purchase cards that go into your deck to improve your deck over the course of the game. So you also have to build your deck into something better and better. But it combines that with moving around the map, trying to secure resources, and it's good because it's not like you're not directly competing with the other players. I mean, you are because you want to get the most points, but you're not like attacking each other or anything like that. You're all just exploring a dungeon together, and if you make too much,
Things happen.
Yeah, things happen. If you make too much noise, if you clank around too much, then the dragon attacks you and you die. So don't die and take all the good stuff like gold and whatnot.
Right. I mean, I like the idea. It feels a lot like this other game I used to play. I still play because I don't know. It's the simplest game that people can teach. It's Saboteur. Don't know if you heard of that.
Of course, I've heard of it, but it's not like Saboteur at all.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the boards were like, you're building the board as well, so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, you do kind of build the board. Like as you're exploring the dungeon, you take a piece and then you lay it down. But you're not like necessarily building it like in Saboteur.
You don't build it; it just happens.
Yeah. In Saboteur, you're more like you're building it based on trying to get to the end, and then there's some people who are saboteurs who are trying to sabotage you. So it's more like coup. But Clank is not necessarily. There's no bluffing in that game. I think maybe
because the information isn't there. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's not really a core mechanic. There is no bluffing. It's not the main point. But you can. This is actually a good game. I recommend trying to play online. There's like a digital version. So if you before you buy it, you can try playing it like the digital version and see what it's like. But they don't have the Clank Catacombs as a digital version, as far as I know, which is a shame. They only have the normal first one, which is not as exciting because you're not building the map as you explore. It's just all there already.
I like that aspect, though. That seems like the fun part of it. You don't really know what's that. It's procedurally generated in ancient times. It's our version of it before digital.
I guess so. Coming back to Unite, I feel like this is what Unite is missing. It's like missing some unique generated kind of content. Like going back to the MOBA genre, like MOBA itself, the whole genre actually came from the community. It was created from a custom map editor in StarCraft and Warcraft 3, if you know the history. And it would be so much fun for Unite to have like a tool like that because people can make ARAM, they can make fun game modes, they can do all that sort of stuff, and it would really give a strong opportunity for the game to revive itself.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it, and it's like, as much as I want it to happen, how big of a file would Unite be? And like, how much would they have to expand? Because the game is now in two systems primarily, right? Mobile devices and the Switch, right? I don't need this to be 20 gigs big, okay? I've got my gacha games here, and they take up 40 gigs. I'm good.
Well, the game itself, it wouldn't get bigger. I guess the only reason it would get bigger is if you have to download these custom maps. And I guess you'd only have to download the maps that you play. That's the way it works with the custom maps in these other games. And it's very interesting. Have you ever played a game called Heroes of Might and Magic 3?
Bro, someone knows this? I was talking about my friend. There's a new one called Golden Ages. Or oldest, I don't know. There's a new one coming out, that's all.
Yeah, but Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is the gold mine because I don't know if you've been up to date, but there has been some expansions for that game created by the community. Like, I think there's 3 now. They added new races, like new castles. They added, obviously, new maps, balance updates.
That's so cool.
It's called Horn of the Abyss. Man, it's crazy. And I think this is a lesson to be learned from games in general, because the community keeps it alive, and they've released Heroes of Might and Magic 4 or 5, what, 6 now? I don't even know.
Right.
Nobody likes those games. They're
It's
like,
a lot.
screw that. We'll go back to Heroes of Magic 3. It's just,
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
yeah. So that's honestly, if Unite wants to stay alive, it could be something they implement. But I think the problem here is that the decision makers, the people in charge, they want to maintain control. However, they can still maintain control, because what happened with Dota that's interesting is that essentially the game keeps the rights to everything that was made in the custom maps. So
Right.
like the concept of MOBA, or the concept of that type of game, was actually it was kept by Blizzard, and they didn't do anything with it. They were just like, okay. And that's why a lot of these other games were made from the ground up, like League of Legends, like Heroes of New Earth, what other games, Smite, all this kind of stuff.
Smite.
Yeah, they were made from the ground up because the engine for the map editor was fairly limited, and they couldn't implement a lot of the stuff they wanted to.
And that's fair. That's fair. But I don't think a map editor or custom maps would help, because the problem itself is the game, right? It's not like there are no new game modes. In fact, everyone's satisfied.
I'm not satisfied. I want ARAM.
Yeah, but everyone's barely satisfied with the game. Whereas, like, if they didn't touch anything and they didn't announce anything as of late, I think no one would complain. Like everyone would just say, "Oh, no new map, same thing again." Damn, Cairo again, Granad, like really?
Well, it could fix that, because, I mean, the custom map, let's say, if it is implemented, might allow the functionality for someone to introduce a game mode where the map is randomly chosen. It doesn't have to be the same one every time. Or maybe
Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, exactly. Take a page from Heroes of the Storm. Or they could implement a change where they introduce like some community balances to the game, or community house bans for certain Pokemon that are just way too broken. And I think that would be really interesting, because it could also give an opportunity for the developers to see what should be patched and what should not be, what should be buffed or nerfed. And that's actually really interesting feedback that they can get essentially for free from the community if they just allowed it to happen.
My take on this, though, is that I thought we should have a skill tree for each Pokemon. Right? I don't know. You do play League back then, so you should know how the rune system was, right? You had to buy every single rune to place it in like a 21, 23 grid? Right?
Yeah.
I think something like that could be better, because we have emblems, right?
Yeah, but the emblems are
like branching paths.
Yeah, I think that's why they did the emblem system, to kind of simulate or emulate that. But
that's terrible.
it is terrible. Like it's out of date. They haven't really been doing much with it. It's so bad. It's not even in tournaments. It's not even enabled in tournaments.
Right. It's not allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, could you imagine if, like, I don't know, let's say we use Pikachu, for example, like, you build this move path where instead of damage, you take cooldown reduction, and so instead of having a damage build, your stun range now increases in size, for example. Like, that is the options you pick between your moves.
Well,
right? You still get the 4 move choices, but like you can change what they do just slightly. I think that would make the game so much
I don't know
more.
if you saw, but they did that in the Chinese version.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Just do that. Why do they keep doing these? Give me my auto chess.
That too. But to be fair,
give me I'll play the game.
To be fair, they might be doing this in the future with this latest developer notes, whatever, letter to the community. They said that future Pokemon will have only one move set, and they might introduce more move sets for those Pokemon in the future. So it could be something like that, where you have to play that Pokemon a certain amount of time to unlock additional move sets. To give you these options, but they should introduce
like mastery,
but they should have another layer to it, like what you're saying. It can increase the radius of your Thunder Shock, or it can decrease the cooldown, or something like that.
See, you know the move names. See, you can be a caster. I was figuring it out.
I just said Thunder Shock. It's a very basic one, man.
I don't remember. The ones I remember are like the flashy one, Solar Beam,
Yeah.
flamethrower, those big ones.
Yeah. But yeah, where do you see Unite in the future? Like in the next year, in the next 2 years? What's your prognosis on
Wow,
this?
you're very positive. You think I'll see Unite in the future in 1 year's time? I'm just kidding.
Hey, like I said, I like to be hopeful. I gotta send good
Unite in
vibes.
1 year's time.
Yeah.
It is really on life support now. Like, the biggest problem is that your biggest community is not responding to you. I mean, like, it's crazy considering that the company that technically owns TV Studios slash most of the MOBAs in the world is Tencent, and that somehow under this big umbrella, TV Studios is not doing its part on the global front.
Yeah.
I find it hard to see it past the year. But I do see they try to do a server merge, which I don't think is possible. But I think at the very least, if the content from the China server is bring over, I think Unite has a strong chance to maintain in the field. Because everything that they're doing now just feels like they should have done it at the start, right? Like maybe when you first release Pokemon Unite, every Pokemon only had one move, and then suddenly there's a new move that pops out, and it's like, whoa, everyone would have loved that. But now that you set the status quo, it's like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
Yeah, they set expectations in the wrong way. But to be fair,
Right.
my theory is that I think what they're doing is they're making it a little different in the Chinese version, because they're also experimenting with this kind of stuff to see what they should introduce in the global version. And maybe what they did is that they committed too many resources to that, and they kind of stopped committing to the global version to kind of do this experimentation. And like, for example, the auto chess, I have faith that it will also come to the main game. The way that the skill trees happened, and some experiments did not work, like the first 2 500. I'm not a big fan of that game mode, but I am a big fan of.
Good try.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of trying to branch out in different skills and stuff like that, but I'm not a fan of it being random. That's the problem, because in that game mode, I tried it out quite a few times, and some of these new like abilities that you would get were just random. You couldn't really make a build that was consistent sometimes.
Ooh, there is another thing I would love to see, because there's so many unused assets in Unite, competitively, right? You've played Shiver City. Is it called Shiver City? The one with Everlock, right? There are snowballs you can throw that allows you to push towards. It's the same as League of Legends, the Poro Snack. Don't know if you guys know that, but it's fine. There's also like this healing ward thing where you can drop it and like it gives a bunch of healing to everyone. There's so many things that you could implement from the PvE game modes or the smaller game modes that I feel like if you put in Unite, it changes the game drastically.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Of course, the biggest limiting factor is time, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If there was a map editor tool, it can use all those assets. They can literally just have all those assets
exactly
for people to place around the maps with timers on how, or triggers on where they appear, how long they last, how effective they are, how strong they are. And they can make so many interesting game modes, because like you said, there's a ton of assets that are just not being used. And like the ranked mode is very straightforward.
It's dry, it's played. Yeah.
On one hand, though, I like that it's consistent, because it ends up having to focus more on how good you are at the game, rather than trying to optimize for the environment. And I don't know, maybe it's
skill
just
expression.
Yeah, skill expression, exactly. Even though the game doesn't have a lot of complexity like a game like League of Legends, I think you can still have a lot of skill expression, because you have to understand when to read your opponents, how to outplay them, counterplay them. And it's just that the barrier to entry is lower in Unite. And that's really a big problem with League of Legends and other MOBAs like Dota 2, is that the barrier to entry is really high, but so is the skill ceiling. Whereas in Unite, I feel like the barrier to entry is really low, but the skill ceiling is still relatively high.
It's too low.
The skill ceiling or the barrier to entry?
Barrier to entry. That's the problem with MOBA, right? Because like you want to play the game at a level where you feel good, but you don't want to look at little Timmy and be like, oh my god, he's like, taking my farm from like the central area, like that's not his job. He called this role, and that's kind of the problem with MOBAs. Like you don't want to have too many babies in the game, but you don't really want to have too many sweats in the game too high, right? That's also why League of Legends, I would say, has a lot of interesting nerfs and buffs, where some champions they don't deserve to be nerfed, but like at a competitive level, they're just that good. But in normal play, you don't see that, right? Like,
Yeah.
for example, Delmise, I don't know why. Why? Such a fun mod.
Well, I did see it in a tournament, and it performed pretty well. But this is a problem in Unite too, because there are certain mods that have been nerfed or buffed, and I'm not sure if they're targeting the casuals or if they're targeting the pros.
I can't tell either.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell. But when you look at the competitive and the pros play, they consistently try to use the same strategies and stuff like that. And in my opinion, that kind of it frustrates me a little bit because it makes the game a little stale. But it also it's communicating to people that this is the way that you need to play to win. And I'm the kind of person that likes to experiment with different builds, different strategies. Off meta. But it's like the problem with doing that is that if I go into a match and people see my items that I have equipped, they're going to get tilted. And even if those items are great, even if I play well, even if I do a lot of damage, and even if everything goes well, if my allies get tilted because they see that build, then it's bad.
Right. No, and that's fair, right? Because I don't want to see like certain things in my games. It doesn't matter which game, right? That's fair. And I think the worst part is that it's exacerbated because you have a central objective that no matter what, if you don't win that objective, it is feels bad. Like there is no counterplay, there's no win, right? Zapdos was terrible, Rayquaza was not any better, Groudon was just a punch to the face, and then there's Kyogre now, which is only marginally better, which is not saying a lot.
To be fair, I have seen more counterplay with Kyogre and Groudon, so there is that at least. But like, I've been doing this kind of stuff for a long time, and sometimes, very rarely, my strategies appear in competitive play. Very, very rarely, and when it does, after that, people don't get tilted when I play those strategies. So there's like a lemming mentality that's very strong as well.
So, are you saying that maybe the competitive aspect is very, is the lens that everyone's looking through, in a sense?
Yeah. It's like I bring this up pretty much. I brought it up so often now in all my podcasts, but essentially, it's like the analogy I like to compare it to is like, are you a cook or a chef in Unite? Because a cook
I love that concept.
Yeah. It's good because essentially a cook is someone that follows a recipe and takes each step by step and then gets a good end product. But what do they do if they don't have a specific ingredient or they don't have a specific tool? They're kind of stuck. However, a chef, what they do is, sure, they can still follow a recipe, but they're more willing to experiment, and they understand the ingredients, how they interact with each other down to the chemical compositions. And what they do is that they also make their own recipes because they're willing to experiment, but they also understand that it's not going to always turn out well.
I get it, and I agree. What do you? I feel like you're an innovator. If that's the case, right? You like to, lead the charge. You're a chef in your own right.
Yeah, I guess so. But like a good chef also probably understands, like, not all that stuff turns out well, and I've learned a lot about it because it's not just about the build and the strategies that don't turn out well. That can be good, but if it tilts your allies, then it's also not good. Like, inherently, it's not good. However,
there's a balance.
Yeah, I had an interesting experience that helped me learn that maybe it helps you also identify which players are good and which ones are not, because a good player will not get tilted. The best players will not get tilted regardless of that. And I learned this lesson myself because I remember playing a match where Gardevoir did like a critical hit, like attack speed build. And I was like, what are you doing? But they made it work. We won the match, and I was like, well, okay, I just need to trust my allies, I guess, sometimes.
Sure, I guess that works.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though, right? Because there is one thing I learned in my time as playing a MOBA. I learned this one in Unite, thankfully, so I can use its relevance, which is that no matter how bad your teammates are, they are in the same rank as you, right? So they got to be good at something for them to even be here, right? And if you play out the game long enough, hopefully by the 8th minute, they will show you that they are good at that one thing, and that is the thing that's going to carry you, right?
Hopefully.
So I started to take a lot more relaxed, even if my team is like level 5 at 8 minutes, they'll probably do something winning, right? They'll just steal like whatever objective, and I'll just go like, yeah, sure, we won. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, it reminds me of this match where I played, and we had a Memo Swine on the team, and he was still level 8 at the 3-minute mark. And I was like, bro, how are you not evolved at 3 minutes left? And eventually he did evolve. We won the match. Somehow. I don't know how. We did. And I don't know. You just gotta have faith. You gotta have a strong mental,
Just a little faith.
Yeah. But yeah, I think everyone also has a role to play when it comes to having a good and positive atmosphere, because fortunately for Unite, you can't like send messages to the enemy team like you can't.
Not yet.
Well, I don't think they're ever going to implement it because it's Pokemon. But like in League of Legends, you can trash talk your opponents when you send messages like, I'm going to wreck you.
No comment.
But I think it's
not saying anything.
But I think that's actually an interesting aspect of these games, because then you can play mind games with them. Whereas in Unite, that aspect of the game is only really present in a tournament, because that's when you can see these players face to face and you can play mind games with them.
Right. That is an interesting take. It's the effect of salt, right? Mind game / salt. I would love to tell my team, hey, my jungle or my central area is actually in your side. And then they go and check and they realize there's no one there. They wasted their time.
No, I mean,
but it's so different to do that,
I'm not talking about during the game. I'm talking about before the game, because you can say you might run into the enemy team, face to face at a tournament, and you can trash talk them.
I play Sableye.
You can, yeah, exactly. You can say, "Get ready for my Sableye," and then then
ban it. Come on.
Exactly, and then they waste a ban on a Sableye, even though you're not going to play it.
TV secretly love Mega Lucario. I don't think you should pick that. Or did they?
Yeah, they
walk away.
I had another podcast with who was it with? IMAX, I think, and he told me a very interesting counter play that involved this mental stuff, where he was playing in a match against 2 of his former teammates, and he wanted to implement a strategy where he would play Phalanx, and he knew their opinions on how Phalanx should be countered. So they did a specific ban sequence to give the impression that they made a mistake and they accidentally banned the wrong Pokemon. But then they chose Phalanx at number 2 or 3, and of course the enemy team counters them, but that was their plan all along. And they ran right into that trap.
And they'll counter those Pokemon.
Exactly. They countered those Pokemon. So there's a lot of elements here that we can still implement, but
that's the fun part of draft.
Yeah, it is, and that's why I like really draft. Is. I think it was a sad time when they removed that feature for a while.
Oh, yeah, they did remove that, huh? When I wasn't playing as well.
Yeah, they removed it because there was a lot of crashes, but they fixed it now, so draft is back, thankfully. But
yeah, I still like when they had Legend Rule as well.
When they had what?
The legendary rule.
Legendary rule?
One legend per team.
Oh, the EX Pokemon.
Yeah, sorry, EX. That's what they were calling it.
Yeah, I liked it too. A lot of people didn't, but I thought it was interesting because it introduced another level of strategy into the draft. It's just a shame that they kind of went back on that. However, it was one of those debatable things, because it also created some frustrations with people, because they were just much stronger than the rest of the roster, and it was probably very hard to balance as well.
Right, they stat check everyone. It's not fair in a sense.
Yeah.
But what can you do?
Well, I guess you go with the flow, and I think if you are a good player, if you are one of the best, you have to go with the flow. You have to roll the punches. You have to just kind of adapt to the circumstances.
Yeah, just don't ban Mega Lucario. Stop banning it, cowards. Fight me.
Fight me. Counterplay it,
fight
though.
Me, Yeah, counterplay me.
Yeah. But, on a more positive note, do you think that there is a role that we can play as casters or content creators for this game when it comes to helping the prognosis of the game?
sincerely, no, because there already are people doing it, and here we are, right? If there's anything more that we could do, I would say it is currently not in our hands, because it comes down to whether Timmy is going to push content out, of which they're not only not pushing content out, they're removing content essentially, right? Because we could have gotten the legendary trio birds with 2 movesets. We can talk about it. But now that they're removing it, it's like, I guess Spraggle's, breakdown video will be shorter.
Yeah.
What can we do about that, right? That's one way I look at it. But if we're talking about what more you could do, I mean, as content creators, I think the best you can do is build your own brand and then funnel it back to Unite. Like if Elite Encounters goes big because we're talking about people in the scene, and then we're like, yeah, see, Unite's really fun. These people still play it. Technically, don't quote me on that. Maybe then it'll be better. I don't know. There's not a lot I can say about the state of Unite as is right now. It looks so dark. It is very scary.
It is, yeah. But that's why I made a petition for Pokemon Unite. I'll put in the link for this video as well in the description. But essentially, for them to fix one specific thing, which is the Unite license journey, because that is trash. I think it's like, my opinion on that is that if they want to force prerequisites to unlocking specific Pokemon, they should do it for only specific Pokemon. Like if you want to unlock Mega Lucario, maybe you can be forced to unlock normal Lucario first. Or if you want to play...
And then Mastery.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you want to play Raichu, you have to have Pikachu first. Or Charizard, then you can get the other Mega Charizards. Stuff like that, right. I feel like makes sense. But forcing players to unlock like Wigglytuff so that they can unlock Meowth later on, like what the heck? That doesn't make any sense. Especially because if you want to unlock a specific Pokemon, it'll take you forever.
No, and that's the best part about it, right? If you want to make the Unite move lock system, I think that would have been such a great idea. Have them play only one good moveset, because there is an objectively good moveset to every Pokemon, okay? Don't lie to yourself. And then they get to unlock the second moveset after playing like X amount of games, or like, winning X amount of points or something, right?
Or at least a moveset that's much easier to play. Because there are obviously movesets that are much easier.
That's also fair, right? I mean, no matter how you look at it, it feels like the execution for whatever you're doing just felt so off. The idea is there, the execution is just horrendous.
Well, who knows? My theory also is that what they're doing is that they're kind of sabotaging the game, because Timmy does have a bunch of other MOBA games, and maybe they're trying to sabotage it so much that these players will go to their other MOBA games instead.
Yeah, but to break a deal with Pokemon just did not feel right. Does Timmy cover Honor of Kings? The Chinese version, rather. I don't recall.
Sure. I do know that they have other MOBA games, like some other ones that I've tried, like Arena of Valor, maybe.
Yeah, Arena of Valor is Honor of Kings.
Oh, they changed the name?
Supposedly. No, so Arena of Valor was released first. Then it got... I don't even think it's around anymore, but when they pulled it out, they repatched back in this game called Honor of Kings, which is just the English version of the Chinese version for global.
I see.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's correct. It is from TV.
There you go.
Yeah, I mentioned this very importantly because I recently had a friend showed me the Chinese version. We call it Wangzhe. I don't know what it means exactly, but it's supposed to be Wang is king, Zhe is something else. I don't know. But I saw their esports scene, and you know how they have like a platform for players to stand on usually, right? To show their team off, and they have like a backdrop and everything. With the Chinese version, in their stadium, each player has their own pedestal. Each player has their own like banner backdrop.
Interesting.
And it's a two-way thing, right? So like if I'm watching from you from here, behind me is the other team, and they're facing at the other crowd. And they each have their own panel, own podium. Meanwhile, I'm not even saying NA is bad, I'm just saying that our standard and Chinese standards, China standards are crazy. They're crazy.
That's interesting. Why do you think they do it in that way? It makes more
money, I guess.
Wait, are you saying it makes more money? I think they just
have the money to do it. No, I'm saying they have the money to do it, right? It looks so much grander, and it's crazy.
Interesting. I think it can also give you an interesting feel for the crowd, because then the crowd will have to choose. Do they want to support this team or support this team? Because that's who they're going to watch, right?
Oh no, they still get to watch the whole team. It's just that for the opening ceremony, like the teams are standing one side, right? But it's still a stadium. Everyone watches the games as a whole. It's just that which esports player do you want to be facing,
Interesting.
right? And I don't know. It just feels so different, right? Maybe you're right that they want to push it to Honor of Kings, because I do believe it is doing fairly well on the China side of things. I specifically say China because I've watched their grand opening for their last match, their grand finals match. And while it's so big, I find it hard to believe that that could not be the case. So maybe you're right. They're running it down. I don't think they would though.
I don't know. I feel
Pokemon's
like
a big IP.
it is Pokemon, but honestly, Pokemon IP is what's keeping this game alive because people like the Pokemon brand and they like the different playstyle as opposed to what's already out there with Pokemon. And I think there's probably some conflict here with the Pokemon team, the Pokemon company, and Timmy in terms of what should be done, and maybe they're just these developers for Timmy are just like, I don't know what to do. Okay, I'll just do this, whatever, make them happy. Maybe the Pokemon team doesn't understand how to make a MOBA good, and Timmy is like, here's what we should be doing to make a MOBA good, but they're not listening. Who knows? It would be nice. Like, hey, whoever's listening to this, if you're a developer, if you're on the Pokemon team, if you're somewhere in that realm, it would be nice to have you on the podcast.
That's fair. That's fair. At the end of the day, really comes down to what they are gonna do. If the Chinese side is doing well, I fail to see why the global side can't do as well. So yeah, we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. Maybe we'll just have to be patient and maintain hope. Be positive.
We're hoping. We're hoping, guys.
Copium.
Copium. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, great insight as a whole, I think, to this entire situation of Unite.
Well, like I said, I still have hope, and I made that petition.
Excited to see. I think EU just ended, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. But before I do, I want to ask if you have any more questions for me or anything else you wanted to say. Do you have any other questions?
I don't have any in particular. I mean, it's always a joy to hear from the community what they want to do, like what's up. I'll ask one.
Yeah.
Who is next in line for the Elite Encounters podcast? This is the sneak peek.
Who's next in line? Potentially some of my teammates, maybe my whole team. We might do a group episode. We'll see. I am always talking to different people to see if they can try to get on the podcast. But this is actually where you come in, because what I'm going to ask next is, who would you like to shout out to appear next on the podcast? My previous guests have shouted out a few people, like Whale Lord. Maybe I'll get her on the podcast, or maybe I'll try to get Bruv or Toon. We'll see. But who do you want to shout out to appear next in the podcast?
I've got so many people I want to ask. There was one that I said, like, he's technically not in the scene anymore. He still casts, but yeah, that's that. You took Mifu already, so I can't ask Mifu. You took Inda, Ganlu? Like,
I did.
Have we done a production stuff?
Maybe I can ask Hello, for example. Do you have a strong contact with her? Maybe I can reach out.
I do.
And when I do
ask, but like, you see, the thing is that I wouldn't say she's easy to get or hard to get, but it's like, you can easily spot hide her, right? At any time, I think she'd be willing to do it, especially since you're willing to match our time. Who I would like to ask, actually, is someone who does production for Unite.
Interesting.
Right? I think this guy,
man-child,
beautiful person, deserves a spotlight. I don't know how man-child. We'll put out all the pronouns here and we'll see which one fits. All right.
This human.
I think you should ask. This human. I think it's a human. That's what you guys call it. Shivam. He who manages Unity Clash. I think he's done a great work for the scene, and in two ways, I think we do need to talk to people in production as well, because they kind of carry the show, right? Casters, we can yap, but we need a platform to yap, and these are people who give us the platform to yap.
Interesting. Actually, I did reach out to Shivam.
You have no idea who I'm talking about, don't you?
No, I do. Let me tell you. I think there's a little bit of a delay right now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why, but I did reach out to Shivam. I messaged him on Discord, and he agreed initially to do it, but then he got busy, and then we never were able to organize it. But I'll send him another message, and I'll let him know that you specifically shouted him out for the reasons you mentioned, like how he gives you guys the platform. So I'll get in touch with him again for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I would also like to shout out one more thing, because at least for the people who I've done production with, one of the best trios in Unite, according to people, not my own claim. I think the best trio, in my opinion, is me, myself, and I. But for other people, it is me, Spartano, and Matt Magical. And we would like to bring them back in together for a show at some point, because we are not free. So we need to find a time that we're free. And I think that could be another episode.
Well, fun fact, actually, I had Spartano on an episode. But who is the other person?
I know. So we just need Matt Magical.
Matt Magical. Okay.
Matt Magical. I can send you his link later.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
3 of us. We need the 3 of us at some point.
Yeah, we can make it happen for sure. And of course, if you also want to reappear on the podcast, that's also an option, because sometimes doing a second one helps us get into more deeper conversation.
I picked myself. We need a part 2.
Yeah, we could. I just want to give
I didn't know that was on the table.
It is. It's always on the table. I just like to give it a few weeks. I had, for example, I think I had Nihat on the podcast 3 times.
Nihat, yeah. Twice, right?
Or 3 times, was it?
One of a group, sorry.
Yeah, well, once with him, it was like my 2nd or 3rd episode ever. And then a second time at some point a few months later. And then a 3rd time, I think, with some other members of his team. It was really fun, because I think in those follow-up conversations, we got into more deeper discussions. We had more interesting chit-chat. And then when it was as a team, it was, a lot more random. But it was still really fun.
I would love to see that, because I think there's so many things to talk about. Biggest thing I feel like we missed out was talking about casting as a whole.
Casting?
Because there's so much you can talk about.
There is.
How to get into it,
Maybe that's
so many things.
That's definitely something that's the reason why I said another episode could also be on the table, because we can get into the more specific things that we didn't touch on and dive deeper into that kind of stuff. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I also talked with other casters like Spartano, and which is actually how I learned about the different types of casters, actually.
Okay. We'll have to do this some other time. Time is ticking, and you've got to plan one with Shivam first before anything else. Yeah.
All right.
See, he's messaging me.
Well, tell him right now. He's live right now. We're recording it, and he needs to appear in the next one.
You are live. Come to next show. Thank you.
Johnny's or Phoenix.
Phoenix, Johnny.
Yeah, tell him I will be sending him a message. All right, Ryan. Let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Kind of live.
Let's go ahead and wrap it up. But we'll definitely stay in touch, and maybe we'll do another episode. Maybe it'll be a group episode, and it'll be fun.
Of course, 100%. Thank you so much for the time here, on the Elite Counters. You're the host. I shouldn't be saying that. Sorry.
Oh, it's fine. Do it. I don't mind. But as you were saying, thank you for watching, and thank you for being here. I appreciate your time, Ryan. And yeah, well, we'll stay in touch, and we'll do another one in the future. But for now, that's it for this episode of Elite Encounter.